Prices are rising, wages aren't keeping up, and supermarkets are offering less and less for more money. Inflation is already a reality, but the real risk is what comes next: hyperinflation. When prices skyrocket uncontrollably, basic goods disappear or become inaccessible. The difference between those who suffer and those who withstand it lies in preparedness. Today, you'll discover the most important resources you should have before everything starts to become scarce or double in price: non-perishable staples. The foundation of any preparedness is simple: food that lasts, nourishes, and doesn't depend on refrigeration. In an unstable economy, non-perishable foods are a safer investment than any bank account. Rice, dried legumes, canned goods, and pasta are the cornerstones of any smart pantry. They're inexpensive, easy to store, and have a shelf life of years. A bag of rice today could cost twice as much in a few months if transportation or energy costs skyrocket. Canned fish, meat, or vegetables guarantee nutrients when fresh products are scarce or too expensive. Salt and spices are also essential. They not only enhance flavor, but also help preserve food and provide minerals. Maintaining a well-stocked pantry doesn't mean hoarding out of fear, but rather thinking logically. If a product has a long shelf life and you use it daily, it's not an expense, it's a saving. Organize your supplies by rotation. Use the oldest items first and replace what you consume. This way, you avoid waste and ensure food security. In times when inflation is hitting your wallet hard, stocking your pantry is protecting your future. Water and purification methods. Water is the most important resource, and paradoxically, the most ignored. We depend entirely on a distribution system that can fail due to power outages, droughts, or local conflicts. Having a reserve of drinking water and the means to purify it is a basic form of security. An adult needs at least 2 liters per day, but in emergencies, it's recommended to store more for hygiene and cooking. You can fill reusable jugs, use special containers, or even collect rainwater if permitted by law. The key is to keep it in cool, dark places. Portable filters, water purification tablets, or activated carbon systems can also make a difference. Unscented bleach in small quantities can also purify water if used correctly. In crisis situations, it's not always about having access to water, but about having access to clean water. During hyperinflation or energy shortages, treatment plants or distribution systems can be affected, and a simple outage can become a threat. Water is life, and ensuring access is as essential as ensuring food. A full tank can be more valuable than a bank account full of money. Hygiene and cleaning products. Hygiene is not a luxury. It's about health and prevention. When prices rise, cleaning products are among the first to become scarce. Soaps, detergents, disinfectants, bleach, and toilet paper can disappear in a matter of days. The pandemic demonstrated that basic goods run out faster than inventory can be replenished. That's why it's wise to maintain balanced reserves of essentials. Unscented bleach, for example, not only cleans, but also disinfects water and surfaces. A small stock of soap, toothpaste, and shampoo ensures you're not dependent on fluctuating prices. Sanitary napkins, diapers, and deodorants are also products that quickly increase in price during inflation. And it's not about filling the garage, but about buying wisely, acquiring what you actually use when it's on sale, and storing it neatly. Maintaining cleanliness at home is a defense against illness in times when medical care may become expensive or inaccessible. Even in severe economic crises, hygiene is what makes the difference between maintaining dignity and losing control. Being prepared means taking care of the essentials, not out of fear, but out of common sense. Pet food. In any crisis, pets are usually the most affected. Animals are products dependent on imports, grains, and transportation. When the price of grains or fuel rises, pet food and canned goods are among the first to become scarce. Many owners end up paying triple or feeding their animals leftovers, but preparing avoids this dilemma. If you have pets, buy their usual food in bulk and store it in a cool, dry place, protected from sunlight and humidity. Sealed products usually last more than a year if unopened. You can also learn emergency homemade recipes with rice, vegetables, and simple proteins in case commercial pet food becomes unavailable. Don't forget water for your animals. They need plenty of it too. In times of hyperinflation, caring for your pets is an act of responsibility, but also a way to maintain emotional stability. Animals provide calm, companionship, and affection in times of uncertainty. Having a plan for them is just as important as having one for yourself, because when everything is going up, your love for your companions shouldn't depend on the price. Gardening and home farming supplies. Self-sufficiency begins with a seed. When food prices rise, many turn to home gardening, and then the inevitable happens. Seeds disappear, fertilizers become more expensive, and tools get more costly. That's why it's wise to get ahead of the curve. Having a small garden, even in pots, is one of the most effective ways to resist food inflation. Start with the basics: tomatoes, legumes, herbs, and short-cycle vegetables. Storing seeds of local varieties is also an investment for the future, as they can be replanted every year. Natural fertilizers, such as compost or organic waste, reduce dependence on industrial products whose prices have skyrocketed due to the cost of natural gas and transportation. Having tools like shovels, gloves, and rakes ensures you can continue growing even if stores stop selling them. Gardening not only produces food, but it also teaches patience, discipline, and hope. In times of crisis, a garden is a source of food, stability, and self-sufficiency. It's not about becoming a farmer, but about understanding that true security begins with the ability to produce something of your own. Materials for repairs and light construction. When everything gets more expensive, repairing is better than buying. Construction materials such as wood, screws, paint, and basic tools are resources that increase in price every year. In times of inflation or energy crises, transportation and industrial production costs multiply their value. That's why it's wise to have what you need to make home repairs, reinforce structures, or even improvise a heat source with wood. A complete toolbox, nails, duct tape, strong glues, and some basic spare parts may seem like little, but in an emergency, they're worth their weight in gold. Wood, moreover, is a versatile resource. It can be used for repairs, construction, heating, or even traded. If you have the space, store some dry boards or logs, as their price could double in a short time. And if you can learn some carpentry or DIY skills, even better. Manual skills are worth more than money when materials are scarce. Ultimately, investing in durable materials and practical knowledge ensures independence, because when repairs cost less than replacements, the savings are not only financial, but also mental. Fuel, propane, and alternative energy sources are all important. The price of energy affects everything from transportation to food. Having reserves of fuel, gas, or alternative energy sources can make all the difference in times of crisis. Keep jerry cans of gasoline with stabilizer to extend its lifespan, and be sure to store them safely. Propane gas is ideal for cooking or heating if the power supply fails, and its cylinders can last for months. It's also advisable to have candles, lighters, and a small generator, or even better, a portable solar panel with a rechargeable battery. Solar energy is becoming increasingly accessible and offers complete independence in case of power outages. In many homes, a small photovoltaic installation already reduces the bill and guarantees supply during blackouts. In a period of energy inflation, the cost of gas, electricity, and oil can skyrocket overnight. That's why having alternatives provides stability. Energy isn't just paid for, it's planned for. And those who have their own source, even a small one, will always have an advantage over those who depend entirely on the grid. Energy self-sufficiency is an investment that pays for itself sooner or later. Batteries, external batteries, and backup devices. In a society so dependent on energy, losing power can bring everything to a standstill. That's why batteries, portable batteries, and chargers are small technological treasures. Having a good stock of AA, C, and D batteries ensures that flashlights, radios, or clocks keep working when the power grid fails or energy prices soar. Store them in a cool, dry place, and if possible, opt for rechargeable ones. Although more expensive initially, they last for years and reduce expenses. External batteries or power banks are also essential for keeping your devices charged, especially if you use your mobile phone as a source of information or communication. Small solar panels allow you to recharge them even without mains electricity, giving you complete autonomy. Don't forget to have a hand crank or manual charger. It may seem old-fashioned, but in an emergency, it can keep a radio or flashlight running. Batteries are like invisible insurance. When everything works, they seem unnecessary. When everything fails, they are invaluable. In times of inflation or energy instability, having portable power means having control. Essential electronics. We live surrounded by technology, and although we may not realize it, we depend on it for almost everything. Security, communication, work, or even access to information. But what many don't know is that the microchip shortage continues to affect the global market, and the prices of many devices are rising without any guarantee of replacement. If you need security cameras, alarm systems, routers, hard drives, or basic electronic tools, now is the time to buy them. In an inflationary crisis, manufacturers prioritize more profitable sectors like the automotive industry and stop producing household equipment. This means that simple items like a car battery, a charger, or a portable solar panel can become scarce or extremely expensive. It's also wise to have cables, adapters, and backup memory, small but essential items. Keep in mind that a device without its proper cable or adapter becomes useless. In the near future, electronics will become increasingly expensive due to energy costs and a lack of raw materials. That's why investing in what you need now is a practical decision. In times of crisis, technology isn't a luxury, it's a survival tool. Alternative transportation and low-cost mobility are also important. Transportation is one of the sectors most sensitive to inflation. When fuel prices rise, everything else becomes more expensive. That's why it's wise to plan for alternatives. Keep your vehicle in good condition with regular servicing and tires in optimal condition. Preventative maintenance avoids larger expenses later. If you can, get a bicycle or an electric scooter. They are economical, practical, and sustainable means of transport. In urban environments, they also free you from traffic and dependence on fuel. In rural areas, carpooling or planning trips with neighbors can significantly reduce costs. It's also helpful to know about local public transport programs or community assistance, especially if there are discounts for students, retirees, or veterans. In some places, there are even barter networks or transport cooperatives that emerge in times of crisis. When inflation hits, getting around becomes expensive, but those who plan always find options. Mobility doesn't depend solely on money, but also on creativity and foresight. Adapting to change is part of surviving in an unstable economy. Land and space for shelter or cultivation. Having access to a piece of land, however small, offers something money can't buy: independence. Land is an asset that provides food, shelter, and stability. Even when currency loses value, there's no need to buy hectares. Simply owning or sharing a space where you can grow crops, store food, or take refuge if things get tough is enough. In many countries, more and more people are partnering with friends or family to use communal land or urban gardens. If you have the opportunity, invest in a small plot of land or participate in a community project. In the long run, land doesn't lose value, it gains it. Furthermore, it can be used for bartering or generating income through cultivation. Even in the city, a balcony with potted plants or a small greenhouse can make a difference. If you don't own land, make arrangements with someone who does. Offering help in exchange for using a space can be beneficial for both of you. In a context of hyperinflation, where money is worth less every day, tangible resources like land become true wealth. Security begins with having a place to put down roots, access to medical supplies, and preventative health care. Health cannot be left to chance, much less to the economy. During periods of inflation or crisis, medicines and medical products are among the first to increase in price or run out of stock. That's why it's wise to have a small, well-stocked first aid kit with bandages, gauze, disinfectants, isopropyl alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, gloves, masks, a thermometer, and basic pain relievers. If you take prescription medications, try to always have an extra month's supply. In addition, having antibiotic creams or products like iodine on hand can prevent infections that become complicated when medical care is scarce. Prevention also includes maintaining good overall health, eating a balanced diet, exercising, and practicing good hygiene. In a context where healthcare systems are overwhelmed or insurance prices are skyrocketing, medical self-sufficiency is a form of protection. It's not about replacing a doctor, but about being prepared for the basics. A simple first aid kit can make all the difference. The difference between a minor injury and a serious complication. When everything is going up, health becomes the most expensive and, at the same time, the most irreplaceable commodity. Being prepared is taking care of your life. Coffee, tea, and small energy luxuries. In difficult times, morale is as important as food. Having coffee, tea, or cocoa may seem trivial, but these products provide energy, comfort, and a sense of normalcy. During periods of inflation, these goods become luxury items and sometimes even currency. If you are a regular consumer, buy what you can now and store it in airtight containers, away from moisture. Ground coffee, for example, can last more than a year if stored properly, and dry tea even longer. Furthermore, these products have enormous psychological value. A hot cup can keep you calm when everything around you seems unstable. In many historical contexts, such as during wars or economic crises, small luxuries became symbols of hope. Having something that comforts you, however small, is also a form of resistance. It's not about accumulating luxuries, but about maintaining emotional stability in an uncertain environment. In hyperinflation, everyday things become unattainable. That's why having reserves of what gives you energy and spirit is an investment in well-being. Alcoholic beverages and their multiple uses. Alcohol isn't just for toasting. It can also be a practical and versatile tool. In times of crisis, a bottle of strong liquor has value as a disinfectant, preservative, or even as a form of currency. Vodka or rum, for example, can be used to sterilize instruments, clean wounds, or prepare medicinal tinctures. Furthermore, alcohol is useful in the kitchen, both for preserving food and for making homemade extracts, such as natural vanilla. Storing a few bottles of good quality alcohol in a cool, dark place is a way to have a resource with multiple uses. It's not about promoting consumption, but about recognizing its practical utility. In times of scarcity, alcohol can be a flexible currency, a barter item, or a health lifeline. Craft distilleries, moreover, often thrive during periods of inflation as they produce goods that retain their value when money doesn't. In short, a simple bottle can become a survival tool or even an investment. In uncertain times, multi-purpose resources are what truly matter: paper, resealable bags, and reusable containers. During recent supply crises, it became clear that the simplest products are the first to disappear: toilet paper, garbage bags, napkins, and Ziploc bags. This is because they depend on the paper and oil industries, both highly sensitive to inflation. Having a small stockpile of these items ensures convenience and functionality when they become scarce. Resealable bags are especially useful. They preserve food, protect documents, and allow for the storage of small items without moisture. Large garbage bags can also be used to protect clothing, waterproof backpacks, or even create makeshift shelters. Furthermore, in an inflationary economy, single-use products become unsustainable. That's why it's a good idea to opt for reusable glass or steel containers. They are more durable and, in the long run, more economical. Don't forget that cleanliness and order are allies of peace of mind. Having enough supplies of this kind isn't excessive, it's planning. In times when the most basic necessities run out first, it's the small details that guarantee comfort and stability in daily life. Resources for communication and information. In an economic or energy crisis, information can be as vital as food. When electricity fails or networks become overloaded, having alternative means of communication becomes essential. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio, for example, allows you to receive news even without electricity. It's also important to have charged power banks, solar chargers, and cables compatible with all your devices. Messaging networks may collapse, but a local radio or an emergency signal still works. Keeping digital copies of important documents on USB drives or external hard drives is also part of this preparedness. In times of uncertainty, knowing what's happening, when, and where can help you make quick decisions. Furthermore, having a small physical notebook with contact numbers, addresses, and emergency plans gives you an advantage if technology fails. In an era where we depend on the internet for everything, having analog alternatives is a form of resilience. Communication is power, and whoever maintains it maintains control. Preparing isn't paranoia, it's practical intelligence in the face of an uncertain future. Skills and collaborative networks are key. In times of hyperinflation, what you have is not what you own, but what you know how to do. Practical skills like repairing, farming, cooking, sewing, or building become currency. As products become scarce or more expensive, people begin to rely more on cooperation than on consumption. That's why investing in knowledge is just as important as stockpiling goods. Learning first aid, gardening, basic electricity, or mechanics can get you out of a tight spot and help you help others. Furthermore, collaborative networks, neighbors, friends, local communities, transform into a form of alternative economy based on exchange. Sharing food, tools, or time creates bonds that strengthen collective resilience. In many parts of the world, economic crises gave rise to cooperatives, time banks, or barter networks that temporarily replaced the monetary system. Knowing how to collaborate is a competitive advantage in any context. Total self-sufficiency is an illusion, but conscious interdependence is real power. In a society under strain, those who offer help, knowledge, or practical solutions not only survive, they lead. Documentation, digital copies, and alternative liquidity are crucial. When a currency loses value or banks restrict access to money, having liquidity and documents in order can make all the difference. Keep physical and digital copies of your documents. Keep everything important: ID documents, deeds, insurance policies, bank contacts, and passwords. Use encrypted USB drives or printed copies in sealed envelopes and store them in safe places. Having some cash and small bills can be crucial if electronic systems fail. In times of rapid inflation, banks may limit withdrawals or change deposit terms. That's why diversifying your resources is key. Some in cash, some in tangible assets, and if possible, some in assets that hold value, such as precious metals or stable cryptocurrencies. It's also a good idea to write down emergency numbers and addresses in physical format. Offline information is the most reliable when the network goes down. Having your documents organized not only protects you from losses, but also allows you to react quickly. In times of financial turmoil, personal order becomes your best defense. Stability starts with the basics, knowing where everything that matters is. Hyperinflation doesn't warn you. It simply accelerates until everyday life becomes unattainable. Being prepared isn't fear, it's strategy. Every item you store, every skill you learn, and every support network you build is a layer of protection against uncertainty. Start with the essentials and move forward step by step. The important thing isn't having everything, but thinking strategically and acting proactively. When money loses value, what truly matters is what you keep, what you know, and what you can share. Preparing today means living peacefully tomorrow.